Check it.
Hello to everyone. We want to welcome you to Film Notes this evening. Thank you so much. It's our ongoing series of discussions around films, art, anything that is elevating, that is worthy of discussion. Film notes and book notes. And I'm your host, Otis Moss III, and we welcome you to our Film Notes. I want to share with everyone who is a part of this webinar. Maybe you are witnessing this via Facebook or YouTube. If you have a question for our incredible guest, we want you to put a Q in front of that question so those who are working this entire webinar will know that you have a question, and we can see that in the chat. And some of those questions will actually even appear on the screen. I also want to share with you here, Trinity United Church of Christ. We are approaching a very important celebration as we are in Black History Month. We think that this is an appropriate discussion, but we begin this Sunday what we call the Ma'afa, which is the commemoration and celebration of our history and our heritage. And no one does Black history like Trinity United Church of Christ. We are blackety, black when it comes to Black history, celebrating our history, our culture, our heritage. And we want to invite you to be with us for this celebration and commemoration where we merge together the arts, our theology, and our witness in the world every single Sunday. And each Sunday is part of a larger liturgy where we look at our connection to West Africa, the transatlantic slave trade, our time period in the Caribbean, and the Great Migration ending off in Chicago. And so we just invite you to be with us at some point this month, and I believe that you will be blessed. But before we begin, love to have a word of prayer with everyone. And if we could, at this moment, if we could go to God in prayer. Gracious and most merciful God, in whom we live, move, and have our being, we are grateful for those who went before us, who now are a part of the great cloud of witnesses, who now have the title of ancestor. During this month, that was created by Carter G. Woodson, may we remember those named and unnamed who allowed us to stand where we are standing this day. We are grateful for the doors that you have opened. We are also grateful for the doors you have closed. We give you thanks this day, and in the mighty and wonderful name of the liberating Savior, Jesus, who is the Christ, we pray. And the people of God who love God may say, amen. Well, I want to take this moment. I'm really excited. I think some of you can tell how excited I am that we have the opportunity for our Film Notes to talk with one of the great artists, actors, directors, just an incredible human being, Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, who is the star of the film Origin. Sister Ellis-Taylor, who was born in San Francisco, but was raised in Magnolia, Mississippi, and spent time at Tougaloo College, along with Brown University, the New York University Tisch School of the Arts, and has been making a way, as my grandmother would say, especially in the area of the arts. She has appeared in everything from When They See Us to the Book of Negroes. She was in The Birth of a Nation, Ray, a variety of pieces, and of course in King Richard. And we are excited that we have the opportunity to talk with this incredible artist and human being. We want to welcome to Film Notes, Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor. Sister Ellis-Taylor, it is wonderful to see you, and thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me. Hey, Chicago. Hey.
Well, we are just delighted to have you with us this evening and to talk about this incredible film that you were a part of, and you did an extraordinary job playing Isabella Wilkerson in the film Origin. I'd like for you to share with us how you came to the project.
Well, I had heard that, first of all, thank you, Pastor Moss. Thank you so much. Before I say anything, you took your congregation to go see Origin in a moment where we didn't think anybody would go see it. And you supported us and you sent us a video of y'all going to see it. And it just encouraged me, and it encouraged me at a moment when I needed it. And I
Mm,
just want to tell you, thank you so much. So, um, I had heard Ava DuVernay, the visionary director, Ava DuVernay, was had acquired the rights to cast the book a couple years ago. I just remember thinking that that was extraordinary. I knew the book by reputation. Ms. Wilkerson did some, press tour for cast, and I seen interviews, and I was reading Warmth of Other Suns, the book that she won the Pulitzer for. So all of this was in my personal zeitgeist, but I had forgotten it, moved on with my life. And then I heard that Ava was in the casting process of the film, and I thought it was a bit of a long shot, but I said, I want to be a part of the conversation. So my sister and I, we looked at a photo of Miss Wilkerson, and I said to my sister, I said, I think I can look like that. What you think? And my sister agreed. And so we did all the things, went to the beauty supply, got me a wig, ordered a dress, got me pearls from Amazon, and we took a picture of me looking like Miss Wilkerson. We sent it
mm,
to the casting director, the amazing Black casting director, Aisha Coley. Aisha Coley gave that picture to Ava DuVernay, and then we started to talk.
Beautiful, beautiful story. Now, after the conversation that you had with Ava DuVernay, where did you all move from there? Because you had not yet read the book, so you started reading the book. I assume was the first piece, or was it the script?
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. I didn't want to read the book until I had
Mm,
the part.
got you.
I
Okay.
didn't want to get my hopes up. So I didn't read the book until she actually offered me the role. And then she offered me the role, and I dove in. I was aware of what she was presenting in the book in cast. I didn't understand it necessarily, but I was blown away by it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's sort of like you can see a body, I don't know how to say it, something in space, right? You don't know what it is, but you know it's beautiful, right?
Mm,
You know it's extraordinary, and that is how what she was presenting in cast was to me. I said, this is something that I don't understand, but I know that this is something extraordinary. It's new, and I was just fascinated by it
mm.
at
Now,
that point.
what struck me about your performance, really your embodiment, let me put it that way. Your embodiment was one, the sense of empathy that we developed, and we developed this connection with you.
Mm,
But the film was more than, because I was actually trying to figure out how was this going to be made into a movie when I read the book. It's like, how is this possible? But
right.
what you did, the sense of empathy, but also it was a conversation about grief.
Mm.
And there was an interview that you had with Regina Taylor, who you were also in If Beale
Regina
Street
King.
Could
King.
Talk. She asked you a question about grief, your
Mhm,
process.
mhm.
If you could share with us your process as an artist when you're trying to embody something such as grief.
What was that? It was actually Regina King that I had
Yeah.
that I had
I'm
that
sorry, I said Carson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a few amazing Reginas, so it's
Yeah. My apologies.
Yes. So yes, we had a wonderful talk back with Regina King a few weeks ago, and I don't know if I'm sure a lot of you know that Regina King lost her son to lost her son a couple of years ago. So she is on the mourner's bench.
Mm,
Um, and you know, I've been asked this often, and I try to sound lucid and elegant and eloquent and when I in my response. And I think what I hit up on was what I know before all of this happened is that I carry ancestral grief.
mm,
You know, Claudia Rankine, the amazing poet um,
mhm,
who wrote Citizen, she said that grief is a constant, is a condition of Black life.
mm,
And that is what I carry with me. I think if you are a Black person with a beating heart, you carry that with you. Our sufferings are not just people we know,
mm,
people in our family. It is why we beat our chests and go in the streets when what happened to Sandra Bland happened to Sandra
mm,
Bland, when what happened to Breonna Taylor happened to Breonna Taylor, when what happened to Trayvon Martin happened to Trayvon Martin. We think that's our cousins.
mhm,
Those are our cousins. And so I live with that. And so that's one thing I live with. That's one thing that I call it an unfortunate gift that I can bring to this challenge of portraying grief on screen. The other thing is, I lost my best friend, who was my mother, a few years ago, and I have not gotten over that yet.
mm,
I will never get over it yet. I will never get over it, and I think that I'm at this place about grief. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. I've entered this space about grief where I don't see it as an enemy anymore.
mm, mm,
I see it as a friend. It's sort of like, good morning, heartbreak, sit down. I understand that now, that it is not something that it is something that I'm going to embrace because
mhm,
it's never going away. So the question is, how do I make space for it? How do I live with it? How do I find joy in it?
mm.
You know? So I brought all of that with me to work every day.
Now, what struck, and I could be wrong, but what struck me also, and just over your performances over your career, I was reading The Bitter Southerner, and they did a piece on you, talking about how Mississippi is a part of you, and it
Mm,
seems as if you bring some of that Mississippi culture
mm, mm.
to your work. How does Magnolia, Mississippi, or Mississippi in general, how does it fit into your work?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere in my work. Um, I was raised in a church. I was a church thespian, like every other kid that went to church. We were all thespians. We didn't have a choice. But it was really my first understanding of art.
Mm,
And not knowing what I was experiencing. But later on, now I understand that everything that I listen to, whether it's jazz, whether it's R&B, whether it's the blues, no matter what it is, all of that experience in Magnolia, Mississippi, New Home Baptist Church, it's threaded in everything that
mm,
feeds me artistically now. Um, and my grandfather was a minister. My uncle was a minister, and so all of that is, you know, sermonic work is an art form. I'm not
Mm.
trying to reduce you into something that is secular, but it is an art form. And I, you know, back in the day we used to call it being called to preach,
Mhm.
right? And you know, I never thought it was a coincidence that the people who were called were particularly gifted at it,
Mm.
that they were, that for us it was an art form. And so anyway, there's that. And then, you know, I carry it with me because, you know, Mississippi is this project that is very confounding. It is very confounding, and this country has never known what to do with Mississippi, like this country has never known what to do with itself.
Mm.
It's an unsolved problem. Like this country is an unsolved problem. It tries to turn its head and heart away from it. But it is what it is. And I have never felt my daily life there. I've never felt justice.
Mm.
There are upwards of 600 people who were lynched in Mississippi from the early 1900s up until they stopped counting. But that didn't mean the lynching stopped. None of those people got justice. None
Mhm.
of them did. And there's no committee or commission anywhere around here that is bringing any of those folks who did those crimes, who committed those acts of terror. Nobody is actively trying to get justice for any of them.
Mm.
So when I'm doing a film that is talking about how white supremacy is unchecked in this country, I'm like, yes, bring it on, because it is where I live. It is what I think about constantly.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because I think what the film does, and I was thinking through if there were a variety of films that would should be required viewing for not only students but just for discussion of for our community. Origin, I would put on that list.
Hmm.
I mean, I have like Daughters of the Dust as one. I've got Malcolm X as another 12 years. I think when they see us as another Selma, things of that nature. But Origin is a part of that. As a person who is working in Hollywood, who has roots not only in Mississippi but has a very consciousness of who you are, have you run into the caste system in your work and in your art? And how?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Caste is everywhere. Caste is everywhere. You know, I'm a queer woman. And a couple years ago, I did an article, someone interviewed me, and I expressed that I was queer. And I did that not because I wanted to do anything dramatic, or, you know, that wasn't necessary for me. But on sets. Now we think that the Hollywood community is quite progressive, right? They are run amok with progression, with progressiveness. But on sets and with my coworkers, I was constantly insulted
Mm.
and belittled. And they were doing it not knowing that I was a queer woman, not knowing that.
Mm.
They assumed something of me. Um, And so they felt it was okay to say things that were bigoted.
Mm.
And that was happening to me constantly, constantly, constantly. And I said, okay, listen, I can't, what I cannot do is to come to work and feel nervous that someone is going to say something about me, not knowing they're saying something about me. I can't do that anymore. It's hard enough. My job is hard enough. So I need to say this publicly to stop this, to stop this bleeding.
Mm.
So caste works in gender, caste works in sexuality. The caste system is very active in the Hollywood community, in the film and television community, particularly with how women are treated on sets.
Mm.
Um, Women who do hair and makeup, women, period.
Mm.
Our work is not valued in the same way that the work of men is valued. Ava DuVernay, it's so interesting that in your list of films, Ava's name is Bam, 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 you know?
Mhm.
And yet, is she given the same consideration as her white male counterparts?
Mm.
She's not. She's not. So yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Now,
Definitely.
since you bring up Sister Duvernay, you've worked with Cassie Lemons, you work with Tony Scott, you work with Barry Jenkins, and now
Mhm.
you work with Ava DuVernay. Share with us what is unique about her style as a director.
Well, there she go. Um, I think Origin was really really sort of strange beast. When They See Us was a little more specific. And she worked with me in regarding my, my acting, and she actually helped me be a whole lot better than I was before I worked with her on that. But with Origin, there was a lot more space for my own interpretation, for my own, not my own interpretation, but for my own presence. She trusted that. She
Mm.
trusted what I was bringing. And then she would come in and say, I think you need to go further. I think you need to think about this. But there was an openness that she allowed in that process. I think what was what's different with her, specifically with this, is that she was sort of figuring out how she felt about caste as well.
Mm.
The language of caste, the argument for a caste. And what we would do, what was important to me and necessary for me, is that before I said anything, I had to know what I was talking about.
Mm.
Ms. Wilkerson, you've read the book, right? Ms. Wilkerson, is the great thing about her work or her writing is that she's a very accessible writer. She doesn't write in academic speak. She doesn't do that. She talks to you as an equal. She doesn't talk down to you. She talks to you as an equal, and she presents her own experience in every argument she makes. Now, having said that, it's still stuff that I didn't understand about this argument for caste. So when I was processing this for the film, I would have these conversations with Ava because I needed to be believable to myself so you could believe me,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
Um, so what that process was is us doing this.
Mm.
And trying to figure it out, because what I said to her was, there are places in this argument for the caste system in America where I don't agree.
Mhm.
But even in my not agreeing it with it, I have to believe it when I say it.
Mm.
So I need to work this out. What I don't agree with, I need to work that out so that I can say, yeah, this is what I personally think, but this is what Miss Wilkerson is 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 trying to explain, is building in this argument. So it was a lot of that processing, thinking, bashing, working it out.
So did you all change the script at all in terms of, hey, I think this might work a little bit better for my character, for my argument? Was there anything shifted or improvised?
No, I did not want to do that at all. It
Mm.
would, to me, trying to improvise Isabel Wilkerson is trying to improvise the Bible. I mean, Black, we do it. We do it.
We do it all the time. We do it all the time.
Do it. But you can tell when it's us. The Bible, if that makes any sense.
It does. It
You
makes
know what I
complete
mean?
sense.
So I wasn't trying to improvise Miss Wilkerson's language.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
didn't, and I was very clear with Ava when she would say to me, well, just say what you want to say. And I said, no, 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 no. I want you to write it. I want these to be your words. She let me
Mm.
put one line in. and I asked for it specifically. It was this argument that I had. It was a scene with the I don't want to give anything away, but there was a scene where I'm having a heated discussion with some Germans, and I asked for a specific line because I wanted to address something that was happening in Mississippi, and it's still happening in Mississippi.
Mm.
So she let me say that.
Well, I have to say, as you speak about that scene, the look, the entire audience, everybody in the theater joined in with you based on your look into the camera. It was brilliant.
Hmm.
You said what we were thinking and feeling
Hmm.
with your look. And one of the things that I appreciate about your work is, I guess there are people who they're incredibly demonstrative, but there is a subtlety that you have mastered where a look, a turn, an eyebrow communicates so much. Is that something that's very intentional, or is that evolved over time? How have you been able to master that kind of craft?
Well, I think that with Miss Wilkerson, that was the character work that I had to do,
Okay.
because I think that if I wouldn't have had that, I personally would not have had that response if someone was saying that to me, and even in that intimate conversation, I wouldn't have had that response. It would have been heated. Voices would have been raised, but that's not who Miss Wilkerson is,
Mhm.
right? She is a very refined woman. She's a very elegant woman. She is very intentional with her words, when she says things, when she doesn't say things. And I had to lean into that. I had to trust that as that being enough to communicate the rage I was
Mm,
feeling in that
mm,
moment, you know? Yeah, and back to back, I played these women, Miss Orsine Price, being another one, in King Richard,
mhm.
also very poised and very quiet, but when she speaks, it matters, you know? So I've back to back played women like this. And it's been a challenge, but I think it's some of the most rewarding work I've ever done.
Take us through, for example, you're preparing for a scene. You're going to shoot. Take us through before you begin. Is there a ritual that you have?
Music is a
Mm,
huge part of that.
okay.
Music is a huge part of that. Um, Reading is huge. Um, reading what I'm my lines, but also I did a lot of cross-referencing with one of those books that you have behind you,
Mhm,
1619 Project.
mhm,
Just because I wanted what I was saying to have texture.
mm,
I didn't want it to just be I'm saying these lines that I have. There's a history behind what I'm saying. There's an understanding, a broader understanding of what I'm saying. So I would have to read and reread, and read other things. And then when I, would finally make it to set, I have to block out everything as much as I can, because if anybody has been on a set, it's like a construction site.
mm,
It's people are banging and moving things around, and it is not conducive to, quiet contemplation or any
mm.
kind of focus. So I have to listen to music to block all that out.
So, what songs? Or
Ooh, child. Woo. It depends on what space I'm trying to be
okay.
in that moment. It really depends. I'd say, for example, I was doing something and I listened to Endow Me by the Clark sisters over and over and over again.
Mhm.
I don't know how how effective it was, but yeah, I have to go into songs that speak to some whatever feeling that I have that's churning in me. And Twinkie Clark is very successful at doing that.
All right. But your performances in the Clark Sisters has it's legendary. I want you to know you are quoted over and over again. There are people who are actually performing your moves from the show. I mean, again, just absolutely masterful. Let me ask you this: if there was a playlist for you for preparation, who would be on that playlist?
Oof. Who would be on that playlist?
Yeah, because we're gonna make one after you start saying the names of people.
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what I'm listening. I'll tell you what I'm listening to now.
Okay.
I'm listening to a lot of um Samara Joy. What I
Come
was
on.
yeah, what that's
Yes.
because I'm gonna take you to what I was listening to at that time.
Mm.
So I was listening to a lot of Samara Joy. Samara Joy has this song that she did with Terry Coddington. Not Terry Coddington. What is Terry Harrington? She's
Uh,
a jazz drummer.
oh, Terry Lynn Carrington.
Exactly.
Yes.
Forgive
Mhm.
me. Terry Lynn. Yes, exactly. So it's called Lawns,
Mm.
um, or Two Hearts. And I listened to that over and over. Do you know that song?
I know Samara Joy. We saw her this summer and
Ooh,
she did a remix of one of her songs where she took Stevie Wonder along with a classic of what was it? Where Were You Today? I think it was. She mixed them together and destroyed the entire place. I've never heard anybody do what she did vocally. It was amazing.
she mm, anybody under the sound of my voice who has not heard her, please run, run.
Man, amen.
Jordan, when I tell you, oh my goodness. So yes, Miss Samara Joy. And I listened to a lot of so I was listening to her at the time I was shooting Origin. So if
Mhm.
you picked up my phone, I was likely listening to Samara Joy. And Jasmine Sullivan is someone that I listen to,
Yes. Mhm,
and not necessarily her R&B stuff,
mhm.
other things that she's doing. She does a song around she does Written Around Midnight with Adam Blackstone.
Oh,
It'll
I'm gonna check
kill
that one out.
you.
I did not know. Okay,
It'll
okay,
kill you.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody listening, we are putting together the Ellis-Taylor playlist, and so we need Samara Joy, and I thank you, Carolyn, for reminding me. It's Guess Who I Saw Today,
That's who I saw
and she
today.
mixed with Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing. Jasmine Sullivan. Okay, so we've got two, so we're gonna put that together. Let me ask you, this. What was the most liberating aspect of the work on Origin, and what was the most difficult?
Hmm. Well, the great thing, the wondrous thing about working with Ava is that she tries to create whether she's aware of it or not. It's just she wakes up to do this stuff.
Mm,
I don't think it's an awareness on her part. But she what happened a lot in Origin is that if when you are seeing me on screen having an experience, it's me having the experience for the first time.
mm,
So you're witnessing me going through something in a way that I've never experienced before. So there's nothing recreated, if that makes sense. I'm not, I'm not saying something that I've said 20 times or anything like that. For example, there's a scene that we did in India where I'm walking across the intersection,
yes.
cars are
Yes.
coming from every direction.
Wow.
There's no CGI in that. It was
And
real. We
you
were
were
in
really nervous
listen.
because it was like, wow, she's really nervous. But that was wow.
Listen, because those car and there was a moment, there was a take that we did. They tried to time it so the light would be red, and that's when we would go across the street. but that didn't work. So the light turned green, and there was traffic coming from 6 or 8 directions, and we were in the middle of this intersection,
Wow.
and we had to make our way across, and the camera just happened to be there. So that was magical to me. I was scared out of my mind, but it was magical to me because that's not something I had to pretend.
Mm.
There.
Well,
And
there's a shot from a distance when you were walking across the street, and there was a chuckle in the theater. It's just like, "Oh, sister is nervous going across the street."
yes.
So we picked up on your
Oh
nervousness.
my God. It was real. It was real. And Ava had the audacity to shout a direction at me. She's like, act like you're nervous. I was like, what? Who are you talking to? Listen, don't worry. It was so fun. I felt like I was on 125th Street in Harlem in the middle
Mm,
of the summer. It was just alive, and the Indian folks, the New Delhians, they didn't give a damn about our film. Excuse my language. They didn't care. They were just like, we got stuff to do, and we were just in the middle of it.
mm,
It was great. It was beautiful. And the most challenging, I think, would be moments when there was a lot of emotional work in the film,
mhm,
and what whenever I felt that I was doing something that was not consistent with what Miss Wilkerson's experience was, or what I thought it to be, I had to say I can't do this anymore.
mm,
Because then I was bringing it felt indulgent.
mm,
It felt like my own pain. And nobody paid $20 to see me, you
mm,
know? So those were the moments.
mm. Now, there was a moment in the film, and I wanted you to share with, and I'm doing my best to ask questions, not to give away anything in
Mhm,
reference to the film. But there was a young man, about 9, 10, or 11, just moved us
mhm.
by his very quiet performance. And there is a scene, the two of you all were looking at each other. Lennox Sims, there is
Sense.
he was magical. He
Yes,
was
it was.
if you could just share a little bit about this young actor who just blessed people by his performance.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his eyes, now. It just I didn't know him. I met him that day. Ava had, of course, cast him, and so I heard she had a relationship with him, or a knowledge of him, but I had none. And that scene was really, the elements of this young boy being so extraordinary, and then the visual work of Ava,
Mhm,
threading the moment where someone had to do that, reaching out to me, threading that in my reaching out to this young child. Whew, I think about it as not as someone who's not, that would be moved by that if I weren't in it. But I mean, when I tell you, every take, he was just so present,
mm,
and he had to do it over and over again, because it was visual work. It was a visual idea that Ava was trying to capture. So his head had to be in just the right
mhm,
place, his body placement had to be very, very specific. And at no point did I ever feel that I was not communicating, or this young man was not communicating with me. He
mhm,
was it was breathtaking. It
mm.
was breathtaking.
And the camaraderie between you and Niecy Nash.
Uh,
I'm assuming that you all are friends off screen, but there was just a really beautiful bond,
yeah.
and I really enjoyed, the interplay between the 2 of you.
Yeah, the last time that I worked with Nisi, we weren't friends, I mean, on camera,
Mhm,
on camera. So this was fun to play, to be friends. to finally be friends, not be enemies on camera, but to actually be friends and family on camera. The thing about working with her, with Nisi, is that she's just one of these people that she doesn't say anything unless she believes it.
Mm,
Um, and and I think because that's the kind of generosity in an actor. I think, because you can't fake that.
mhm.
You can't fake that. And when somebody else is faking, then you feel like you got to fake. With her, you don't have to do that because you just can say the words. And I think we would have been able to project that camaraderie, as you said, project that intimacy without the words,
Mhm.
if we didn't have the words there. And I just think that that's a mark of the kind of actor that she is.
And then the beautiful love story, that was again, I can't I'm being very careful about my statements for those who haven't seen the movie, but the wonderful love story and the connection, with you and brother John was
Mhm.
wonderful to
There
see.
he is. Yes, he is. John is off camera, just one of the most generous, beautiful, most loving people that I've known as an actor. I just you just don't meet people like that. And he plays a Punisher. He plays these superheroes and he's brawn, but he's also just one of the smartest people,
Mm,
and just a brain and lovely. One of the last images I have of John in my mind is we walked out of the panel. I was in the car. I said bye to him. I'm getting in a car to go somewhere else. We were going to meet somewhere else. And I look back and he has a woman's shoe that he's trying to fix on the street. A stranger, complete stranger. But that's what he does. That's the kind of, oh, something's wrong with your shoe. Give me your shoe.
I
I'm gonna
love
fix it
it.
for you
I
right here
love it.
in New York City. You would love him. You would really like him.
I would love to meet because, I've been a fan since I was a fan of The Walking Dead, and I was mad with him in The Walking Dead. I said, "This brother's good." I got mad at him in The Walking Dead.
Right. That's a testament to it, right? If somebody can make you mad.
He made me mad, and I said, "Okay, this brother's alright with me."
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, we're gonna about to open up for questions from the audience, but
Mhm.
share with us upcoming projects. What are you working on?
Ooh, um, well, you never know when these things are gonna come out, but I am in a film called The Supremes at the All You Can Eat at the it's a long name. The
Mhm.
Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat Cafe. And that's with Uzo Aduba and Sanaa Lathan. So I think that's going to come out this year.
Okay.
I'm in the adaptation of the Nickel Boys, the
Really?
other adaptation, but
Okay,
Supremes is an adaptation.
okay.
Nickel Boys is an adaptation of Nickel Boys that was written by Colson Whitehead. It's
Mhm.
directed by Ramel Ross. So those are gonna come out hopefully.
Alright, and how can those who you have a group of people who wanna support you and who are on this, webinar, how can they support your work? Is there a website? Can they follow you on IG? What is it? Social media? Let us know.
Listen, the way to support me right now is to go see Origin.
Alright.
That's the way to support me at this moment. And if you go post a video of yourself going to see it, post pictures of yourself,
Mhm.
take somebody with you. It probably is not going to be in the theaters that much longer. So we have to push as long as we can. So that's the way to do it. And at this point, for me, the film, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, the film is now can become a tool,
Mm.
which is what I wanted it to be in the first place, personally. Um, a tool that we can use to arm ourselves against this onslaught of lies that we are dealing with
Mm,
every
mm,
day from those who would vote for a man who has dozens of indictments against
mm,
him, and the lie that he's a
come
better candidate. And no, the reality is that you're voting for him because you are trying to maintain the caste system.
Mm,
Okay. So I'm ready for this side of this film to be able to do that kind of work. I am trying desperately. Anybody got any ideas? Let a sister know. I'm trying to desperately to engage with the conservative community, organizations like Moms for Liberty, who were instrumental in this movement to ban books. Caste
mm,
was a book that was banned.
mm.
So this is another kind of work now that I'm starting. So yeah, support the film, hashtag origin, and thank you.
Mm. Well, we have several questions. Oh, here's the first question. Where is Isabella Wilkerson now? Do you have that information?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I haven't had the honor of meeting Miss Wilkerson. She's a very, from what I understand, a very private person. And I'm going to respect that privacy. I'm going to respect that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know if you care to share or if I missed it. Why is there limited promotion of this film? It's spectacular. And that is from Lauren. Thank you, Lauren.
Well, we were with a very small distribution company called Neon. And quite honestly, I don't think this company was necessarily equipped to to engage with the folks that needed to be engaged with. I think that we, Ava and myself, my reaching out to you and saying, listen, I need your folks to go see this film. It's doing those things that I think moved the needle in terms of folks even knowing about it at all. There were no billboards, I very few
Mm,
commercials,
mm,
no advertisement really for it at all unless you go to the movie theater. So the only way anyone would have known about this film is if the film, got a whole bunch of nominations and that kind of thing, and that didn't happen.
mhm.
So everything that we've done up until this point has been really grassroots work. So it's a miracle that people know about it at all. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful.
Why don't you share with the audience how we got connected and to be a part of the grassroots campaign? I think it's a wonderful story.
Well, years ago, I was driving through somewhere in the United States and I heard a panel. Miss Pastor Moss has done 1,000 of these, so he will never remember. I want to believe that it was something associated with NYU. Have you ever done a panel?
I have. Is the Black Church dead? Was at
Yes,
Union Theological Seminary. Yes. I
that
was with
was
Eddie Glaude. Yes. And Dr. Ebony Turman. Yes.
yes. And you were pushing the envelope in that conversation. Am I lying? Am I? Did I?
You are correct. You are very
Yes.
correct. I usually am if I'm on those panels. Yes.
Yes, you were pushing the envelope, and you were really sort of saying my mind
Mm,
about doubt, about
mm,
doubt in the walk of the life of someone who is a believer. Um, so that stayed with me. It stayed with me. So
mm,
it was like mental note. That guy. I didn't know your name, but that guy. And then I knew that you had assumed the pastoral position from Pastor Wright,
mhm.
right? And I said, I need to engage with the peoples. I need to engage with the peoples, and this is how to do it. This is how to do it, and this is the man to do it. And so I reached out to, somehow I am kind of friends with Donald Lawrence. I'm not gonna boost myself up to say me and Donald are friends, but I'm kind of associated, kind of friends with Donald Lawrence. And he graciously connected me to you. I begged you, please, please. And you did exceedingly abundantly
Oh, I
above.
was so excited. I told Monica, I said, "But I knew Ellis. She wants to talk." We was like, and Monica's all excited. We're just excited because we're fans. We really love your work. And I said, "Well, this is what we do. We're Trinity. We do this. This is part of our culture. So it's just been just wonderful to support the work that you've been doing." Now, Sharon has a question that Origin is being cited as one of the most important films of 2024. Why was the right timeline? Why was the right timeline, or what was the right timeline for the project?
Um, I think am I understanding that that it I don't- I'm a little I don't I'm a little
Why
unclear.
was this the right timeline? I
Oh,
believe.
right, got it. I
Mhm,
got it.
mhm,
Okay. Well, I can just speak for Ava
mhm.
because she said this several times that she wanted the film to come out in the um before the elections.
Mm, okay, that
So,
makes complete sense. Yes,
yes.
and there was Tracy. Hello, Tracy. Uh, what was Isabella Wilkerson's reaction to the film? Oh, good question. Did she agree or disagree with any points of the adaptation?
I don't know.
Really? Okay.
I don't know.
Mm.
I haven't heard. I'm terrified. Oh my God. But I haven't heard how she feels about it.
Mm. Now, it says Queen Nunu. I don't know who Queen Nunu 923 is. What tips do you have uh, to separate yourself from the work? How do you make sure your spirit and sacred space are safe, especially with difficult roles?
Well, for me, when I'm playing something that I believe in, um, and I believed in this, I believed in this
Mm,
movie. I know that might sound trite, but I do. I believed in this movie.
mhm,
I believed in the filmmaker. I believed in the book that the film is based on. I believed in Ms. Wilkerson's intention of shaking this country up, shaking it into a knowledge that it wants to suppress.
mm,
I believed in that, and I still do. Um, and that's why the film now can be a tool for that work for me personally, and I hope it will be for all of us. So I found my work in that exhilarating. I didn't need a safe space because that was my safe space.
mm, mm,
When I work on things that you do, sometimes you just have to do work for money, or you could find yourself in occupation work,
mm,
in occupation stuff, right? This is a job. Acting is a job. And if it's something that it doesn't excite me, then I have to do stuff like, take a bath, you know what I'm saying? Run up the street, other things that I won't say.
Now, my big sister Galen Rose has a question. What is your most desired role to play in, or have you played that character already? What's your dream board?
Mm. Well, whether I, excuse me, whether I play it or not, or play these characters or not, what's important to me is, so much of who we are has been physically redacted, or the intention is to, there's been a movement to redact us. Um, uh, in abstract ways and in physical ways from the history books of this country, particularly Black women. And so my dream, and I'm hoping that I'm continuing that dream, but I have to be involved in it myself in writing these things, is bringing those women, bringing that history to fore. Um, that's what I live for. I'm working on something about Fannie Lou Hamer right now.
Oh.
Yeah, we did a short of her a couple of years ago, and we are trying to expand it into a feature film. So
Mm,
that's my dream. That's the
mm.
present dream.
Well, let us know when that dream comes to fruition. We want to support you. Fannie Lou Hamer is absolutely one of my favorite human beings and
Mhm.
ancestors on several levels. So we have a wonderful question here from what advice do you have for a young Black person that's trying to get into the industry?
Well, I would I would rethink that.
Mm,
As opposed to saying someone who's trying to get into the industry, I would say, how do you bring the industry to you?
mm,
And that involves you doing your own work, and not waiting for anybody to come to you with a role or a part, or you have to do this yourself. Now, everybody's not going to have Issa Rae's story, right?
mm,
Issa Rae, worked on Awkward Black Girl, which turned into Insecure. Everybody's not going to have that success story, but there are those success stories, and your putting it out in the world makes it a success. And where the moment of technology that we live in right now makes that possible, that you can monetize. There's that word. You can monetize things that you self create,
mm,
and then and you put everything you can into that. I have felt, even with, I'll speak for Origin. When we were promoting Origin, I felt that we put the cart before the horse.
mm,
So we were doing a lot of work out in the Hollywood community, trying to get Hollywood folks to pay attention to us, and that netted us nothing.
mm,
And the entire time that we were doing that, I said, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel why Ms. Wilkerson wrote this book. This doesn't feel like the spirit in which Ava made this movie happen. She greenlit herself.
mm.
Hear that. She greenlit herself.
Say a little bit more about that for so people can understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, so she was originally working with Netflix,
Mhm.
and I think the story is that they were taking their time and wanted to release it at a later date, and she wanted to do it now. She wanted it in the theaters the year of the election, right?
Mhm.
So she bought it back from them, and she raised the money herself
Mm,
through different philanthropical organizations, private folks, and raise the money herself. So she didn't have to answer to anybody. So that's what I mean about how do you get into the business? You get the business get into you.
mm, mm,
And I believe that with Origin and promoting the film, I wanted that spirit of self-creation and self-determination to guide us in promoting the film.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And instead we went the traditional route. We went the Hollywood route, and instead of going to the people first.
mhm. Yeah, I noticed that throughout the credits, I was standing next to Reverend Lashandra, and I said, "Wait a minute, did I just see Chris Paul's name? Did I just see Malcolm?" I'm looking at some of my favorite basketball players. I said, "Oh, so they helped finance the film."
Yeah.
I was just really proud. I have to just say that to
Mhm.
see that coming together of community
Yes.
to put together such a beautiful project in this manner.
Right. Right. And to go back to your question,
Mm,
community is key to that.
mm,
Yes, you be self-determined. Um, you got to use the people around you,
mhm.
use the people around you. That community is key to that.
Now, there's a question from Amon L about what are you currently reading? Do you have any recommendations for us?
Ooh, my computer is on a stack of books right now. Let's see, what do I have over here? I just finished this book called Mexican Gothic,
Mm,
and I'm reading a book, a YA book called Monday's Not Coming, and I was
mm,
actually reading it right before because I have like 20 pages left. But I am an avid reader. One of my favorite books of last year was this book by Lakeisha Carr called The Autobiography of Skin.
mm,
And I highly, 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 highly recommend that. I'm a big short story reader. I love George Saunders. I have his book under here, Liberation Day, that I'm about to hop into. I have so many things I've started. The Fraud by Zadie Smith.
mm,
I'm a
mhm.
big time short story reader. So yeah, I read a lot. And like last year, I read a lot of poetry, Tracy K. Smith, Come On Felix.
Yes, yes.
Um, Come On Felix is extraordinary.
Mhm,
I read Christina Sharp's notes, Ordinary Notes.
mm.
Um, yeah, I'm a nerd.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So we are going to have a playlist, and we're going to have a reading list after this.
All
Uh,
right. All
and
right.
there was a question that it just disappeared. There was a question that was, oh, thank you, Cheryl. What would you like to see the community do with the outstanding tool of origin?
Well, I'll say it again. Try to go see it while it's still in theaters. Tell your friends, tell your family, because there's still folks out in the world who have not seen it. Tell your white friends, tell your white coworkers, to go see this film. And then the next stage in this is the work that I'm trying to do, which is like I said, I'm trying to insert
Mm,
origin into conservative chatter.
mm,
That is what
mm,
I'm working diligently to do. I just haven't put my finger on the right um, pulse yet, but
mm,
that's what I'm working to do. But I hear this constantly from educators and teachers that it should be in the schools. Um, as I said earlier, Cast is a banned book. So many books that
mm,
we love, The Color Purple being one of them. So many books by Toni Morrison. I think Toni Morrison is probably the most banned author. I think I learned that statistic
mhm,
recently. That we need to get behind this whole movement to end this practice of book banning. Um, yeah, get it in the schools, and get behind this movement to stop our books from being banned. It's just another way of trying to erase us.
mm.
We have to see it as that. And origin meets that moment, I think.
All right. So we have a question here from Kushma. Share your thoughts on ABFF and master classes for people interested in getting into the industry. I think you also addressed that too, to a degree, in various positions, writers, actors, etc.
Well, I'm not familiar. I can't speak for ABFF, but I know that Ava has a master class. Um, and I know I would take it. I would take it. I think Spike Lee has one. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if they're talking about ABFF offering master classes. I don't want to be if I'm mis if I'm misunderstanding, but if they're just talking about master classes, I know that Ava is offering a master class now. I learn from everybody. I learn from everybody, and I also have to say this. I cannot say enough. Bring the industry to you. The way to bring
Mm,
the industry to you is you have to do the work. Don't wait on somebody to make the work for you. You do the work. And the other part of that is your brain being focused on something that feeds you is going to help you in moments when you feel like you are being ignored.
mm, mm.
It's just good for your health. It's
Yes.
just good for your health. What I will also say is learn from things outside of film and television.
Mm,
Film and television can be this uberus. It can be something. It eats itself. You have to get your inspiration, your ideas, your motivations from things outside of film and television. It can be movies. It can be visual art. It can be sports. But get your inspiration from
mm.
things that are outside of film and television.
I want to ask you, who would be the person that you have not worked with that you want to work with? Number one, who would be the person who is an ancestor that you would love to work with if magically we could put it together?
Oh Lord, my God, all of those women, man, that never got the praise that they
Mm,
should have gotten. Um, my God, Ruby D is my hero.
mm,
Mary Alice.
mm.
A lot of people don't know Miss Alice, but she was in the Matrix.
Yes.
Matrix. Uh, women like that. They are my heroes. People who I have not, who are alive, that I would like to work with. I want to work with women. When I was a younger actor, I used to say, "Oh, I want to be Denzel Washington's wife."
Well, you were Denzel's Washington's
I
wife.
know, I know. Like, that was the penultimate. Like, that was the ultimate thing for me. I'm gonna make Denzel Washington's wife. That will be my crowning achievement. And Denzel Washington's wife. And listen, Denzel is a hero. He and Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Jackson and Morgan Freeman, they are heroes of mine. But I want to play them,
Come on.
their roles.
Come on.
I don't want to be nobody's wife. I'm good. You know.
You got
I
to take Pelham 1, 2, 3. That's just what you go.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. I want somebody to be my helpmate.
There we go.
We have these scenes, and I've done it. I've done it a million times where I'm
Mhm.
saying to some man, "You can do it. Believe in yourself." I want to be the person that's being told that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I love it. I love it. Now we're coming close to our close, and we have a couple of people who have some questions. I want to make sure that we cover a few folks who. Thank you, thank you. Nancy has a question: how can this production be best marketed at this moment to the HBCUs and Black sororities and fraternities? And before you continue, is there a particular sorority that you are connected with that maybe might need a shout out?
Always, all the time. Listen, Delta Sigma Theta sorority has been, I mean, when I tell you they came through, they came through. They came through. Um, um, we had a webinar, I think it was earlier this week. It was recently, last few days. Thousands of people, few couple
Mm,
thousand people on the webinar. Deltas, just deltas. The week
mm,
before that, we did a Zoom with the National Council for Negro Women. It was
mm,
deltas, it was AKAs, it was all kinds of folks on there. And that showed me what I am speaking about in terms of community
mm,
and self-determination, because tapping into those community that we build, and then they come, and then the world knows.
mm,
Then the world knows. Yeah, the Delta Sigma Theta has come through big time for us and for me, for this movie, and I'm so grateful to them for that. For if there's any sorors out there that ain't heard about it, who are on this thing and y'all
You
don't know,
just lit up the chat on that thing. Oh Lord.
you know, get your chapters to go. Um, so yeah, and I if there are some professors out there, you know, what we can do is offer it up. You have to take up the baton to do it.
Mm,
We can only say, this is what we want you to do. But now the film belongs to y'all. It belongs to us now. So it is about what we decide to do with it. And I'm excited about that.
that is tremendous. Michelle, is there a process that you use to choose the characters that you portray?
What I try to do, what I try to do is play thing is just do things that I can go to bed at night
Mm,
and I can sleep well, and I don't feel like I have to apologize to myself or anybody else after having done it.
mm,
Um yeah, that's my metric for that.
mhm,
That's my deciding um um tool for that is can I live with myself while I'm doing it. Now, I don't want y'all getting me twisted. Don't get me twisted here. I'm not turning down things left and right. That's not happening in my life.
mm,
But what I do is if something comes my way and someone says, we want you to read for this, I'll just say, no, I'm not reading for that. That's not what I want to do. And then when I actually do a part or do a role, what I end up doing is fighting a lot with
mm,
producers, with writers. You're not popular. It doesn't make you popular,
mm,
but it helps you live with yourself. I mean,
mm,
let's be very, very clear. Women characters are still very underwritten.
mm,
They are still very much at the whims of a misogynistic culture. So that's just facts.
mm,
So when you walk on it, when you take a job, you can pretty much assume that that's what you're going to contend with.
mm,
And so I show up every day to fight that. I try to do that with fairness and kindness, but I still fight.
mm. Now, can you share a story with us of what you fought to include, to change, to shift in some of your work?
Yeah, well, for in King Richard, for example,
Mhm,
I, Miss Orsine, as she was originally written, would have been, I know you can do it. You can do it, Richard. You can do it. And it was a great script. So I'm not trying to belittle our writer
mm,
or anything like that because he wrote a beautiful script. And it did rise above that sort of type, but it didn't go far enough,
mhm,
particularly because when I found out that Ms. Orsine was their coach,
mhm,
that she was not just in the stands cheering them on, she was their coach. She taught Serena how to play tennis. So when I found that out, I said, okay, no, we have to make that alive on the page.
mhm,
And not just for me, not just me. It was the young women who play the daughters as well. I said we got to make them more alive. This is their story. It's called King Richard, but we know who Venus and Serena are.
mm,
So that we have to live up to that reality. So that's an example. This last job, I got a million of them, but this last job, one of these last jobs that I had that I actually shot in Chicago, the producers wanted to have a scene where the villain in the show punched me in the face and put a gun in my mouth. Now, mind you, the white women who were my coworkers on that particular series, they were the villains of the film, right? Villains of the series. No violence,
Mm, mm,
no
mm,
violence
mm,
whatsoever. No violence. I was a good person. I was a good guy, and yet the villain is gonna punch me in the face and put a gun in my mouth.
mm,
I said, no, that's not happening. There will be no gun being put in my mouth. Nobody's going to punch me in the face.
mm,
That is not going to happen. And I said, why would you want that? Why would you want that to befall me?
mm,
These white women in your cast who are the villains, the bad guys, right? Nothing happened. They're going to leave this project with their with their faces intact. But me,
mhm,
I have to have bruises. I have to have evidence of
mm,
violence. Why is that? And you know what that producer said to me? He said, "Well, you're strong.
mm,
You're strong. You can take it." That's. And I said, "I can't believe this.
mm,
Did he really?" And lovely man, lovely man. But that is what he said to me.
mm,
And listen, we have women, Black women are saying this, have been saying this, particularly these last few years, about how their health care is affected because the medical industry doesn't think we feel pain.
mm, mm,
And that was an articulation of that. No, you're strong. You can take it. Those enslaved women that Marion Sims used to build gynecology as we know it.
yes, yes.
You're strong. You don't feel pain. You're not human. You can take it.
Mm,
So that's what I mean. Fighting that kind of stuff.
mm. Sister Ellis Taylor, I just have to tell you, you have blessed us tonight.
Well, you have blessed me. So I thank you so much.
Thank you. And for those in the chat, if you would just join me in saying thank you to this incredible artist and human being who has blessed us, who is making those who have gone before us proud and blessing generations that are yet to be born. We are just grateful for your work, for your witness. My father would say it this way: keep on keeping on.
I feel it. I receive that. I
And the notes are coming. I hope you can see the notes that are coming in from people who are just have been just blessed. And we want to thank everyone for joining us for our film notes. You can place in on your social media hashtag origin to share about the film. You can reshare this conversation as it'll be placed on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. We want to encourage people to see this film and not just see the film, but also purchase the book, know the entire story of the creation of the film, of a community to get coming together for a film to be produced. We also, I want to take a moment and say thank you to the production team behind this. We are so thankful to Reverend Sue, Kara. Is that I get it right? Kara Productions, is that right? But Reverend Sue is the one who does the StreamYard, and she is a master. We have the social media maven, Erica, who is holding her child in one hand and is also probably on Instagram in the other. Reverend Lashandra, who runs our media department, and none other than Miss Minister does everything, Donna Hammond from the South Side MLK Hammonds. We are so grateful for the entire team that has put this together. Cast, The Origin of Our Discontents, is available at Afroware Bookstore. That is a Black woman-owned bookstore. We encourage you, if you want to pick up the book, to use Afroware. It is owned by our friend Nzinga Nomo. and you get a 10% discount if you use the CAST10 code. And we want you to go see the film. We would invite you to find a young person and take them to the film. Have a conversation about the film. I tell you, it will bless you. It is going to be placed within that pantheon of movies that, for me, that if you want to sit down and create a curriculum and help people understand the totality of who we are, Origin is one of those films. And I want to do something the Spirit just placed on my heart, Sister Ellis-Taylor. I was going to close out in a word of prayer, but I just want to ask you
Mhm.
if you would close us out with a word of prayer. If you would be so kind.
Whew. Um, hmm. I would start with Alice Walker's words. Dear God,
Mm,
thank you for the irrepressible, undying generosity of Black people.
mm,
Thank you for giving me the gift of the Black church when it has healed me and when it has harmed me.
mm,
I thank you for that gift. It has been my first understanding of art. It has been my first understanding of community. It has been my first understanding of self-determination. It has been my first understanding of pride, of beauty. And as we say in New Home Baptist Church, I wouldn't take nothing from my journey.
mm,
Thank you so much. Thank you for this incredible man and Pastor Moss who opened his heart and opened his congregation and his internet space for me and this movie that I believe has the power to shift things in this country. I thank you for the gift of Ava DuVernay. I
mm.
thank you for the gift of Ms. Wilkerson, and that gift keeps giving back to me every day. I appreciate every person who took the time out to come on this panel, this talk tonight. I thank I thank you so much for them. Thank you so much. In gratitude and belief in the power of Black community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being with us. We will share with you when we have our next film notes. And when you are in Chicago, we would love to host you in some form or fashion at the Village of Trinity United Church of Christ. They're a strange bunch. They are claiming you as a part of the community.
I feel claimed. I watch y'all's church. I watch y'all's
Appreciate it.
church. I sure do. Yes, I watched your sermon that you did about rest a few
Oh,
weeks
praise,
ago.
praise God. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have to run, but you guys, thank
Yes.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Y'all take care.
God bless.
All right. Bye-bye.